The Board of Governors of the Fuels Industry Association of South Africa participated in engagement with the Minister of Mineral and Petroleum Resources, Gwede Mantashe, which is aimed at addressing critical issues relating to fuel products. Now, these engagements form part of the association's commitment to advancing South Africa's fuel landscape through active dialogue and the implementation of processes that advance low-carbon fuels. Just in terms of how meaningful these engagements are, we're now joined by the association's Executive Director, Fani Tshifularo. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, one of the most topical issues in the space is local refining capacity, which is said to be in a serious decline in the country, impacting economic stability, the security of supply of petroleum products, and of course, causing the loss of the much needed jobs. What approach was taken on these pressing matters at your meeting?
So indeed, the issue of refining capacity is very important in ensuring security of supply in any country. So if we were to look at South Africa, in 2019, we were importing roughly 30% of our requirements. But fast forward to 2024, we're importing 70% of our requirements. Mm-hmm. It means petrol and diesel and jet fuel combined, that is landing into South Africa now. We require on 70% of the requirements that we would otherwise been producing, 40% of that, back in 2019. So we did, touch on that issue of local refining capacity. You do know that, the government has bought, the refinery, which was owned jointly by BP and Shell, Subref in Durban. The minister indicated that they are bringing that back, and also the Petroleum refinery is going to be brought back. And we indeed support such initiatives, particularly if there are investors who are interested in putting their money into those projects, because it will help a country like South Africa, where the importing markets are far away from us. It took us roughly 3 weeks, in order to import, a vessel, into South Africa. So if we've got, our own refineries, at least we can store crude oil in large quantities, and we don't have to wait for finished products to land into our own ports.
You talk about supporting the local refining capacity. What role will your organization play in this regard as you welcome this move and you talk about the impact that it could potentially have on the industry?
So we do have members who still own, refineries. For instance, companies such as Astron Energy, they've got a refinery in the Western Cape. And we also have got Natref refinery, which is owned jointly by Sasol and Total Energies. And then we still have got Secunda, plants. All those three facilities, they still manufacturing, petrol, diesel, and jet fuel, and they're very critical in terms of the industrial base, in terms of creating jobs that otherwise you're going to lose if you don't have the refinery in the country. So one of the major projects, that it's on the go now is the conversion of these refineries to be able to produce, the Clean Fuels 2 products. These are cleaner products that has got less benzene on petrol, and these are supposed to be rolled out in 2027. Mm-hmm. We call them Clean Fuels 2 products. So in order to produce products, you require a lot of money. One of the issues that we've been discussing with government for a long time is an approach similar to what has been done in other countries, such as Australia, where the government has met the investors halfway to make sure that they remain in business, in the refining business. But in our case, the immediate pressing need is for those three refineries or plants to be supported in terms of being allowed to recover some of the cost of the investment, because that way is going to go a long way to reducing the burden on the investors who are putting billions of rands into these refineries.
You touched on jobs, the potential jobs. What could we be looking at in terms of scale as you talk about these much needed jobs in the country?
So refineries, they support a lot of indirect jobs, and direct jobs. So a typical refinery, is supporting easily 500, permanent jobs and probably another 500 contractors. Those are the people who are continuously supported by one plant, on average. But in terms of indirect jobs, that's where you've got, like spin-offs, where you've got many jobs that are dependent on the existence of a refinery. The contribution of a refinery into a local economy, like let's say you look at the KZN, where they've lost 2 refineries, that is a huge dent on that economy. So you are easily looking at like thousands and thousands of jobs that has disappeared. These are the people that are forced now to work in other countries because they are people who are in demand, highly skilled, specialized, and they can work anywhere else in the world. But we need them here at home because this is where we need people to support our initiatives. We do know that the government is promoting the exploration of oil and gas. It means once we have made big breakthrough, these products will be required to be processed in our own facilities. But if we are not supporting the local jobs, it means those people will have gone to some other countries. We'll need to get them at a much higher premium. So it's best that we retain them here by supporting our own industrial base here in the country.
Some of the other talking points was really perhaps an understanding of which department you now fall under, because there's the minerals and petroleum and then there's the electricity and energy. Is there clarity in terms of the industry and which ministry you now deal with?
Yes, in our meeting today, the minister actually clarified that to say he wanted to meet with ourselves just to make sure that he clarified the issue that he's responsible for the entire petroleum value chain from upstream all the way to downstream. So we are very clear from our side that we fall under the Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources. And there's nothing that has really changed from our side. We were with the same minister, even though we were part of the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. In terms of the people that we have dealt with, automatically it means we'll continue to deal with them because it means they will just be following this new petroleum branch that will be part of the new department. So as it stands, I think we know where to take our own issues. Because as the Fuels Industry Association of South Africa, our focus is predominantly downstream issues. So we know where to take our issues and how to make sure that we make progress on those issues.
As we look at the latest fuel price adjustments, what are some of the expectations in that space?
So we try to stay away from that because this changes quite a lot. I do know that the fuel prices are going to be adjusted, or the announcement is going to be made next week. But we rather just leave it until it's confirmed, because there are so many things that changes. We still have got a number of days to go. And so anything can still change. Pretty much, if you just want to see what's going to happen on a daily basis, you just need to look at the movement of the exchange rate, dollar to the rand, and you look at what the international oil prices are doing. But as you do know that largely the biggest factors that affect the fuel prices will be the international factors, which are beyond our own control. The aspects of the fuel price that are within our control, they change once per year. We know the tax get changed during the budget as a speech in February each year. That has already taken place. So this next big change in terms of fuel price structure changes will be happening around December, when the minister make a pronouncement on the margins that are approved. But the rest of the other stuff, they are very dynamic. They change all the time. I know there are people who to just say forecast what is going to happen, but we just leave it until it's announced.
Yeah. A few months ago, there was a massive story around concerns on the quality of petroleum, suggestions that it's been mixed with paraffin, and certain outlets were named, and that has since been quiet. I mean, what's the latest around that investigation on the quality of petroleum and the mixing of paraffin? How far are you?
So the investigation was led by the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, because they've got the inspectors that are out there on the field and drawing samples and testing this and taking them to the laboratories that confirm whether they comply with the regulated specifications. And the issue itself, it has not died out. I mean, there are still reported cases of people who are continuing to mix diesel with paraffin. And it's one of those areas that we discuss with government and law enforcement agencies to look into, like, how can we jointly tackle this issue? Because this, criminal activities, and the government lose a lot of money because people, when they extend diesel volumes, they are not paying taxes over on the adulterated fuel. So the issue has not died; it's still continuing, and I think it's lucrative market for some of these unscrupulous operators. Hence, it's still continuing. But the investigation in terms of where government is in terms of enforcement, I'm not so sure about that. But we do know that we are continuing to look into these issues, to look other options in terms of how can we combat these illegal activities.
Very well. Thank you so much for weighing in on the discussion.